everyone, and welcome to the Contingency Plan Podcast. My name is Jedi Master Dave, and with me, as always, is Darth Austin.
Hello, everyone.
Well. Back again. After we did one heck of a flub job on our latest Patreon video. That's right,
It
Patreon.
was an amazing video that never will see the light of day.
Oh, no, it's going to be edited. It'll be up there on Patreon before too long. Yeah, we actually were able to get together this past week and eat some food and talk some random stuff here at my place. And that video will be exclusive to Patreon. We're planning on doing work with Patreon now. We've had our dinner with the Patreon series, which honestly, like I still have videos somewhere that I haven't done anything with that we recorded a long time ago. But yeah, eventually.
You should put those up first.
Well, maybe extra bonus, but yeah, there'll be more on Patreon, and we appreciate all of our one patrons. That's a big thank you to Chase, man. Thank you, appreciate it. But yeah,
and what's great about that video now is as they'll watch it, they'll see that you're trying to get me to talk further into the mic, and they'll notice no change in the audio.
Yeah, I mean, the big spoiler to that, we obviously won't talk about what was on that content wise, but yeah, it was one of those deals where, you know, I had the video component, and then I also had the mic set up and the Zoom and all that, or the Zoom, not the Zoom, anyway, whatever.
Zoom.
Yes, the Zoom. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. The H6 from Zoom, not the Zoom meeting. But anyway, because we've been doing nothing but Zoom meetings. That's what we're doing now. But anyway, I had the mics out and everything, and had the headphones in and whatnot, listening to all that. And, you know, it's been a while since we've done that together. So, you know, you were backed off a little bit on the mic, and I was like, well, either get closer or let me adjust the gain on it. And then, I don't know, probably like 20 minutes in, we wound up, I looked down, I was like, that's not even recording audio. I forgot to hit the record button. But
And I just looked down at the sandwich like, I can't get that back. It's already half eaten. We're screwed now.
yeah, that
Take
was
two.
Well, I mean, we did, and we wound up just running because the camera does have the external mic, and it's fine. It's just not like, it's not top tier or anything like that. So we did release that, so you can find the moment when we discovered our folly, so to speak. So that was a lot of fun. But yeah, it was good to kind of, you know, get back in and actually like be face to face for once, so to speak, because it does make things a little easier, I think. So
Yeah, it was a much better quality video, so that's a good reason for you all to just go and support us on Patreon.
Much better quality video than the video we never take of ourselves.
Yeah. A much better quality video where we forget to record it.
Yeah. Well,
yes.
I'm not really
Zoom.
I'm not really interested in doing like YouTube videos of the podcast. I mean, if you do look on YouTube, the audio does come through on YouTube through what Podbean does for us. So it is posted there if you were to just, you know, want to look through YouTube to watch listen to the podcast, because again, there's no video component there, and like I said, I'm not interested in doing all that stuff. We could, I mean, I could record the Zoom meetings, but I'm fine.
You guys don't want to look at us.
Yeah, I'm good. But yeah, that will be coming up there, and we're going to be doing more things with Patreon. So it's a good place to, you know, to support your favorite podcasters out there, us. But anyway, also, you know, check out Twitter at TC Plan Podcast. Email is still down there. If you want to ever like suggest any sort of topics or react to any of the topics that we've proposed here, tcplanpodcast@gmail.com is our email, and we're on Facebook too sometimes. So anyway,
Yeah, and I suppose with the amount of patrons we have right now, if you do decide to throw a little money our way, we would be obligated to do it because we wouldn't have many things to choose from if I have one person telling us the topic, not 20.
Yeah, no doubt. But anyway,
So we're at your mercy. Just consider that if you decide to do that.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not really about the money. We don't. I don't really care.
Yeah.
We've already purchased all of. I have considered some other things. I got to say, and I know this isn't really Star Wars related, but I don't care. I have considered the Roadcaster. I would really love to have one of those because then I can do drops. I mean, I could do drops now if I wanted to, but like I'm lazy with it. But the Roadcaster, oh God, that's an expensive piece of equipment, man. I mean, that's $500-600 on its own. So I've thought about that, and obviously we kind of need to get you set up with mic and everything too at some point, which just kind of requires you to grab a laptop someday, but. Aside from that, man, I mean, I kind of like our mics, but those what are they? The S7Bs or SM7Bs that are like the real professional big boys. One day I think those would be cool too. But I mean, what we have, I think is okay. I've never heard any complaints about audio quality, even when we have you coming through on Zoom. So yeah. I don't know. Maybe they're just holding that back for later. Who knows?
Maybe we just want to spend money.
Well, money, spending money's fun. It's
just
a fun
it's
thing.
like any hobby,
Yeah, no doubt.
This is shinier.
It's shinier. So anyway,
it'll make me 0.5% better.
Yeah, 0.5% better. I need you to make me more intelligent, more smarter, better sounding. This will totally do it. Well, man, how's your week been going? Now that we've drug all of our people through forced Patreon march there.
It's been going pretty well. We just came back from old Kikosing, went there for the day and had a little grill out and hung out by the river. And now it's just the fun of Sunday, just kind of waiting to go to work essentially at this point.
Yeah, winding down Sundays. Yeah,
but took a 3-day weekend, took a vacation today, so that was nice.
Nice.
Good weekend. What about you?
It's fine. It is what it is. My days are kind of just so locked into nothing, working, and then I've been trying to complete a couple home things, which I haven't been super successful at really getting motivated to do. It is nicer outside, so I've been playing more basketball, which has been fun. I've got other projects that I'm working on as well, or have been working on through quarantine and whatnot. So that's all been on the burner. And it's just time. So we'll hopefully we can kind of get through all the stuff we're dealing with now, so that I can start doing things that I want to do, because I had a lot planned for this year, and that's all. Down the drain. Actually, now that I think about it, because we didn't discuss it, we blew past our second year anniversary in July. So the podcast is like 2 years old, man.
Yeah, it's a terrible little tyrant now. Just an awful little toddler. It's getting worse by the day.
Yeah, terrible twos. Does that mean this entire year is going to be terrible?
Yeah.
No, we'll tell. Yeah,
downhill from here.
Yeah, that should be fun. I don't know. We've definitely increased listenership over the past year. The
downloads have been huge lately. You just got your notification for the 10,000, which happened a long time ago.
Yeah, that was a little late. I mean, we're closing in, I think, on 14,000 downloads. I mean, there are obviously bigger podcasts out there, but I mean, we're growing. Let me put it to you that way. Looking at the map of where people are listening to, pretty much have folks from all over the U.S., Canada, South America, Europe, Australia. Really, it's dotted around pretty effectively. So that's pretty neat that podcasts can be listening to, and I don't know.
Yeah, and going from where we started from, just humbly going through one book series, I'd say we're doing pretty well at this point. diversified.
Yeah, it's been pretty cool. It's been pretty fun. So yeah, but yeah, 2 years old, man. It's pretty wild. Pretty wild. Well, we have, I mean, spoilers, guys, because this book just came out. We're actually going to be talking about a book today a little later. But spoilers, okay, because we don't want to ruin this book that was written in 2014, I think it was released. We are going to finally go through, 2015, looks like September 4th, 2015 was the first. But we're going to take a look at Chuck Wendig's Aftermath. You finally got through Aftermath, and we're going to discuss that because I do think the Aftermath books are very important to the kind of continuity sort of timeline of things, because this is like post Battle of Endor, Imperial Remnant, cleanup operations, checking in with our heroes and everything. So there's a lot to go over in Aftermath, so we're going to talk about that. But there was a little bit of news, and the first one we'll just talk about very briefly is the potential for a Lando Calrissian TV show or a little show on Disney Plus with potentially Donald Glover in talks to come back as Lando. So what do you think about that?
Oh, Lando. Here's the thing. I'm a little torn on that because, one, Lando's awesome. Glover plays Lando very well. So, I mean, there's nothing wrong with more content. It's just when I think of the stories where you're going to get about Lando, yes, they'll be great. They'll be exciting, adventurous. You'll be a little, scoundrel. But honestly, I just don't know if it's the kind of stories I want right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm in the mood for Lando series, I guess.
Well, I mean, what I'm in the mood I was about to say what I'm in the mood for is Solo 2. Just bring him in Solo 2.
We can get more from him there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I know it'll be high quality content. It'll be entertaining. I just don't know if it's what I'm in the mood for. So we'll see. We'll just have to see.
Yep. I don't know, man. It should be fine. I like Lando as a character. I like Donald Glover's rendition, like you said. Now, I mean, I'm fine with new content. I guess I'm just not like overly excited about it. I guess it's fine. I'm sure it'll be good, but it kind of does, in my mind, it kind of puts a little bit of a nail in the coffin of a Solo 2 movie, which I think is kind of what we need. But of course, Disney is kind of going to look at that and say, well, we gambled with it and we lost. Because it wasn't such a huge blockbuster, but it's like, but I don't think you understand why you lost yet.
Yeah.
And you lost because
I don't think they will ever.
No. And I mean, I'm not here to bash the sequel trilogy. I'm not here to bash The Last Jedi, but there was a strong reaction to The Last Jedi, which kind of killed off Solo. Because Solo shouldn't have been directly after. If you remember, it wasn't a year after. It was like months after. They should have waited
about
like
4 or 5 months, I think.
Yeah, they should have waited for that movie because I think it was a good movie. It's just it shouldn't have happened so quickly. You had to let people sit and simmer on The Last Jedi because it was so different. This isn't Marvel, man. I mean, some of these characters you're literally writing. A lot of these characters you literally are writing from scratch. Marvel has decades of these characters to do, so everybody already knows. You're just presenting them. And I mean, honestly, what has been all that controversial about Marvel movies?
Nothing. No one complains about them.
No.
I think the only one that got some flack was maybe like Doctor Strange, maybe Ant-Man. But other than that,
well, I don't know if it's backlash. I think I don't know how many reviews. I don't know how many people cared.
Not as popular. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I just
truthfully, Solo should have been like last summer. I think.
Well, no, I mean, I think
maybe last spring.
No, I think you're setting way too much time in between movies, to be honest. But I mean, for me, if you're gonna do anything, you drop Last Jedi, and because they were seemed to be so much in a rush to continue that series, maybe just like push everything back 6 more months and release Solo at the end of the year, and then again push your Rise forward again or something. I don't know, man. I think it was bad timing more than anything.
It was.
Because I haven't met many people that said, well, Solo sucked.
Yeah. I've met a lot of people who said, I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, a lot of people.
They
just didn't watch it.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
it's not even they didn't watch it because, I just don't think that would be for me. It's just, I feel like it is really, there's just too much Star Wars going on. Didn't catch me.
It was a protest. It was a protest against Last Jedi because there are a lot of people who just didn't dig it. I understand that, but Solo didn't need to suffer. But it is what it is. So Lando series sounds like we're a little meh on it. Could be okay. If it comes out, cool. If it doesn't, cool.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, let's move on to the other bigger part here, and this is directly StarWars.com. So inside Star Wars, The High Republic, Meet the Jedi Knights and Masters Part 2. So we got a little bit more information and some more art concerning a couple of our Jedi. We have Skier. 2 S's only, so it's Skier. Anyway.
Snake.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Who? No, I'm not going to make those references because I don't know them. You know the rapper sounds that certain rappers make that I don't know which ones are associated with which ones because I can't stand modern rap. Anyway, yeah, you get it. You all get it at home, I'm sure, too. So anyway. But yeah, Skier, S-S-K-E-E-R, Trandoshan. Gruff, opinionated, been around the block more times than he cares to remember. Loyal but brutally honest. So seems like also carrying around a secret that's tearing him apart.
I just don't know if I want Trandoshan Jedi.
Well, I think
kind of a funny thought.
Well, I think the language gets annoying. Because they're reptilian, they do the stuff when they speak, and honestly, like, so I'm going through Afra, and you know what? No, I shouldn't say too much on that. I know I'm already spoiling something there. Anytime Bosk ever comes up, or there was the episode with the Trandoshans in Clone Wars when you had young Ahsoka and the lost Padawans or whatever. So it just gets a little on the nerve for me, I suppose, just constantly hearing that. And I can only assume that's what this character would do. It's going to be book form, so it's not necessarily as big a deal unless they
can't wait
like
for the
that.
I can't wait for the Jedi mind tricks just to see if they end up making the person talk the same way, the same inflections.
That'd be funny. Yeah, I mean, he looks fine. He's beefy. He's a big boy. You know, got some shoulders on him. Actually give
Hope
him...
he can shoulder the weight of that secret that's tearing him apart.
Dude, that's good. I like that. I actually gave him two panels, art panels. One with sort of a tan kind of bit of his robe and then white underrobe, and then the other one's more dark brown with some gauntlets.
Does he have his lightsaber out in that picture? What color is he?
Blue.
Blue?
Yeah, blue saber. The only thing that I thought was a little weird, so it looks like they're doing the cracking, a little bit like Kylo, but the tip is very pointed, like a triangle. So, like a sword.
Yeah. And
I think this is more of an art style than a realization, but still it looks a little...
And is it really realistic to have the cracking lightsaber in that time frame?
Well,
I feel like that was a lot older than 200 years pre.
Yeah, I don't know so much about that, but I know like when Ezra and Kanan and Ahsoka were down in that Sith temple, and he picks up one of the old cross-guard lightsabers. It was very much like that. So and that's another thing we have to chat about here. So officially in this article, it says 200 years. I thought I remembered 300. You said you remembered 400. So like next it's going to be like 50 years before.
Yeah.
Episode 1.
We're dealing with the parents of all the characters we already know, essentially.
I mean, I don't know if that's changed, but I feel like it's changed. And I'm a little bit...
It has. I would bet money that has changed.
Yeah. So it's 200 years before Phantom Menace. So... Okay.
So we kind of get into that age range where we're going to see some Jedi from... I mean, we potentially could see some Jedi.
I mean...
That we've seen before.
I mean, Yoda, potentially. I don't know how many...
There's a couple of other races that are long-lived, I believe.
Okay.
Even Plo Koon's race actually is a long-lived race, I believe. I don't think he's an older Jedi, but I don't know. I just hope we don't see a lot of tie-ins because of this time jump. Worry about that.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. But Skier is set to play a major role in the Marvel comics. So I don't know if he's necessarily going to be in books, but he will be in the comics. So we'll kind of see what happens there. We also have a little bit more on Avar Chris. Let's see here. Let me scroll down. She is the best of the best of the best, sir.
So she's the Grandmaster?
No, I don't. She is a Jedi Master, wise and compassionate Jedi Master, who plays a major role in the great disaster that opens the story. Also, we are pinning her the hero of Hetzel. But the question is, why is she the hero of Hetzel? So all of that is supposed to be found in Light of the Jedi, coming out in January.
And this is also... I asked earlier, this is the blonde Jedi from the artwork that we've already seen.
Yeah, and they gave another panel on her with the darker brown robes.
I think she usually wears a circlet, right?
Yes, seen a couple and she does in this too. Yeah, she has a little kind of gold circlet with.
That she's a blue Jedi Master, because I believe that she seems pretty young from the artwork we get. Not that it's the highest quality artwork, but.
That's what it says here, that she is a Jedi Master. It's funny in the headline here, they say meet the Jedi Knights and Masters. We've just now met 2 Masters, no more Knights. Whatever, I don't care. So, yeah, I said this before when we looked at the original artwork. I thought it looked rather vanilla to me. Like, none of the characters really stood out, which I think we'll get more in the stories. And I think it's just, we don't have any sort of personality behind anybody. We just had, pictures. And I know there are people who
it was almost like a Google image. It was almost like a Google image of fan art in a way.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's definitely an art style. It's not like straight up realism or anything. But one other thing we need to point out are, kind of keeping behind that sort of Wild West theme that they had talked about, they do have lightsaber holsters, which are kind of set up like some of the crap. I can't remember what those are called, but instead of having the holster just like on a loop in the belt, attaching to the belt, they're 2 separate pieces. This is all in one piece to the belt. So you had said something about, what did you say?
I just kind of wonder with all the books if they're going to embellish how much they, I unclipped my holster. I drew my lightsaber.
Yeah.
I got ready for combat and had my hand on my holster.
Yeah. And
I just wonder how much they're going to point it out, or if maybe it's just something that's never mentioned in the books, which would also be kind of odd, because clearly they put a little effort into it, I'm sure.
Yeah. In her monologue, Var's hand moved closer to her holster, ready to draw her lightsaber at any moment. Yeah. Okay.
We get another who drew and shot first kind of scenario.
Well, it's fine. I actually think this is probably, I don't know if it's more practical, because typically what we
I feel
see,
like it isn't.
well, what we see is generally just, like these clips. They just clip onto their belt. It's just like a ring and a clip.
If that, sometimes it's just like, oh, is it magnetic? Because you don't actually see it clip onto anything. It's just kind of there.
I mean, I know Star Wars kind of does stretch science sometimes, but magnets, dude, to have a strong enough magnet for it not to fall off your belt, you wouldn't be able to
But for you to be able to pull it off.
Yeah.
It's an electronic magnet. You hit a button and it just deactivates.
Okay.
It reverses polarity. And it just shoots across.
Why are all these pads going bad? Every time you give me a pad, it goes bad. Oh, my extremely strong magnet on my hip is demagnetizing everything. Got it. Yeah, well, I think I don't know how much thought honestly went into that, but I'll be honest with you. I feel like maybe this would stay more onto your hip than a clip, because all I could think about is running and that saber just whipping around and beating my leg over and over again. At least this way you could tie the entire thing to your calf and it would be stationary.
Well, yeah, just have it like Han Solo's where it's tied off, and that would be more comfortable too. Yeah.
It makes sense.
I accidentally hit my switch and the lightsaber ignited because it hit my thigh. Ow.
How many lightsabers just have buttons? You know what I mean? Because there are button activated, and if you slap that on there, oh crap, I lost my leg. Don't question too much. Don't question it. Okay.
Don't think too much into this. You'll ruin Star Wars.
Well, the last thing here in this article, though, that we did want to go over are the Santekas. This is a clan. Once just a family of hard Scrabble hyperspace prospectors. So they're out there playing hard Scrabble and prospector peeting around, seeking valuable routes in the outer reaches of the galaxy. So they're prospectors, but they're looking for hyperspace routes, which we know. Again, this timing is just, it's throwing me off like really, really bad. I know the Old Republic is not canon. I know the Old Republic books are not canon. But to sit here and think that 200 years before Phantom Menace, we didn't have all this stuff already done blows my mind. It actually doesn't make any sense to me now, the more I think on it. And I probably should just stop thinking.
How do you establish the Outer Rim in that sort of a period of time?
In 200 years. I mean, I think the whole idea is
how do you have established communities? And, you talk to these people, oh, my family's been in the Outer Rim. We've been in here for...
well, and
now we're going to have to fix that.
Well, in
every book and audio.
Right. Well, the other problem here is that we had an Old Republic. I mean, no matter if you completely disregard the books, there was an Old Republic. So did they not do any exploring? I mean, because that's what this is saying, essentially, that they just did not explore enough. Or maybe
this High Republic's the only one like, hey, maybe we should actually know our galaxy just a little bit.
That's not going to make any sense to me. But anyway, the Santekas have been prospecting out routes, hyperspace routes. Let's see here. And this is coming a little bit from Charles Soule. The Santeka clan has become a dynasty at the forefront of technologies and techniques that let Chancellor Lanisau's great galactic republic continue to expand safely to new areas. Overseen by the Scions, the car.
Scion TC.
Yeah, exactly. Marlon and Velis Santeka, the clan operates in close conjunction with the Republic and becomes crucial to its response to the Great Disaster. But the Santekas have a secret. Their rise
or
did
their
not come
shoulders. Strong enough.
The rise did not come without cost. Sounds like Skur and the Santekas had something in common. Events from the past that they want to keep hidden. So many secrets. So many little secrets. Well, so yeah, that's kind of a little bit of what we got there. I'm really just questioning the timeline. Characters seem fine. A couple of Jedi Masters, the best of the best of the best, sir, and one who's keeping secrets, and the Santekas, which kind of makes you wonder if Lor San Tekka is like the last of them. Because to be honest, I have not looked into Lor San Tekka. Maybe I should have, but I just never have.
Me either. I know the name, and that's really. I don't know the background all that much.
We should.
I didn't know the family was big. So.
Well, they were. They were the best of the best. Dynasty. Yeah. They were the New England Patriots of the galaxy.
Our dynasty is the best dynasty in the galaxy.
Yeah. So anyway, we have a little bit of a wait left to go for the High Republic stuff, but I am looking forward to getting in. I'm a little leery.
Overthinking it. We're not used to having this much hype for a book. We really aren't. I mean, what kind of releases did we have for Alphabet Squadron? Did we have a chapter released to us early or talk of new characters? I think no. We just got the book. We knew the release date and we got the book. We didn't have time to overthink it.
I mean, there are books that
goes with everything else.
No, I mean, there are books that have had some release. I mean, we just, I don't know, an episode or two talked about the Thrawn chapter that got released. But I kind of think they're doing that a little bit more now because they've had to push everything back. So trying to keep people engaged in it. Because again, I think we would have already.
We would have had the first book, I believe.
Yeah, I don't remember the timeline anymore, but
it might have been August. It might be coming out.
Yeah, I think we either would have, or it's coming up. Let me put it that way. Yeah. So, yep, High Republic. We'll see when we get it, right?
Can't really pass any judgments until then, I suppose.
And yeah, that's a good way to be. Not everybody's like that, though. All right. Well, anyway, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about Aftermath, the first book in the Aftermath series. The War Is Not Over, written by Chuck Wendig, September 4th, 2015, original release date. Timeline 4 ABY. I guess, I'll get your opinion here, and, it is what it is, but part of this book that is kind of different from a lot of others is that you have your main storyline, but then you also have these dabblings of other storylines, right? Like the two brothers fighting at their dad's table.
Jack.
Yeah. Let's see here. I don't know. There were a couple of... there was some stuff with Mon Mothma in here that kind of start her thoughts on demilitarization. I don't know. There's a few other ones that aren't necessarily coming to mind. But what did you think about that kind of writing?
The sheer amount of how many we had in this book almost got a bit frustrating at the end when you realize how many were cliffhangers. We got nothing with the brothers after that point. We got nothing with Jack, really.
There were the slaves. There were the slaves that were released.
Yeah.
Oh, and the kids, the ankle biter brigade, and the and what was
orphans?
That?
The orphans.
What was that? What was that cult? The Sith kind of Vader cult that winds up getting a red lightsaber that they are told was Vader's.
Could or could not be Vader's. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just so they can destroy it, so it can be with his master in death. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the sheer lack of resolve for all those storylines was a bit frustrating in a way. But it is kind of cool to have all that set up. I mean, it's a really cool branching way to tell the story, and the tie-ins could potentially go well past this book into other books, obviously. So
also mentioning the first we get of Cobb Vanth, who
yes.
we are potentially going to see in The Mandalorian.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Obviously getting to, check out that sweet Boba armor again. And all that stuff. It was kind of neat.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it in a way because it's definitely something very different from most Star Wars books. So I appreciated it in a way. It was kind of hard to. I feel like it's gonna be kind of hard. You're gonna have to go back and kind of reread it because there are such small sections in the book that you just kind of push them aside in your mind a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like he wanted to capture the essence of what the galaxy was feeling across multiple worlds, because this is it's a big deal what's just happened. And it's not all just like, the end of Return of the Jedi where it's all just, a party with the Ewoks. There's still a lot of work to be done. And there's almost like the Civil War aspect of it, like with the brothers. One was with the Republic, one was Rebel, the other one was an Imperial on the sides. And
that was probably one of the most powerful messages in the entire book, I think, especially everything that their father had to say about it, looking back at previous wars. And, that kind of brings it back into our universe a bit too. Obviously, there's not many situations where brothers would have the opportunity to choose separate sides on a war, but there was a time where that was a pretty common thing, obviously with the Civil War. So it's kind of neat to see that tie in.
Yeah, there was a lot of people who fought for one or the other side because of the state they were in, or belief systems, or whatever you want to mount on that. There's a lot of history there, but it was kind of similar. So I don't know. Again, we're painting the picture of the galaxy at this point. So I do think it's interesting, but I agree. It was a little hard to keep track of the first go around. Is like, oh, wait, what are we talking about now? What is this? Why are we talking about these dudes? So
can we just get back to the peril that our protagonists are going through right now? Like, yeah, there's a little bit of that, especially when you're doing Audible and you're listening on your way to work and you're excited for what's happening next, and just get a little snippet of, like, I don't know, orphan kids, talking about getting a family, and there's like no correlation whatsoever.
Right. Very true. So we do kind of get into the main storyline here with Wedge Antilles and the planet Akiva. He's doing some reconnaissance here. Sort of some of the intelligence is starting to build up that a larger contingent of Imperials are kind of going to this planet. There is a blockade here. Wedge, unfortunately, is captured. He, kind of gives them a story, and they don't believe him, but they're on high alert anyway. So Wedge is captured. We also introduce Nora Wexley, who is from Akiva. And you might remember the Wexley name, possibly. Nora has served in the Rebel Alliance for years. She's coming home to her son. We'll definitely talk more about her profile later. She has to run a blockade with, let's see here. I do have the name. Smuggler Awerto something last name that I'm not going to try because I'm tired. But, Huerto over there.
Or Huerto.
Yeah. So she has to,
Another thing, for those of you who are listening to this on Audible, obviously I don't expect many people to be jumping into this around the same time as our review, but it's a very well done Audible book.
Mm-hmm.
I'm blanking on the guy who reads it, but
Mark
he does
Thompson.
a very good job. Yeah,
it's
does a very good job.
It's pretty much always Mark Thompson for most Star Wars books, and he's always done a very good job. Very good job. The only thing I'll ever complain about Star Wars books is that sometimes they put in too much ambient ship noise, and it becomes this sort of like grinding noise that I really. It's like it's too much. It's like boom, 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 just in your ear.
There's been a couple of times. There's been a couple of times in the past, not now with this vehicle, but listening to an Audible book, say with my truck, and I hear that background noise. I'm like, what is that noise? I have to turn down the volume. Like, what is my truck doing?
Yeah.
It's like panicking almost. Like, what is going on here?
Yeah, I know. So, again, Nora runs a blockade. However, on the surface, we introduce Sinjir Rathvelis, who was a former Imperial loyalty officer, and he's getting drunk at the bar. We do find out a little bit more about Sinjir and his sort of past, but long story short, he was on Endor. And he meets one of our other characters we'll talk about here in a second on Endor, which honestly, I kind of wonder if that meeting wouldn't have happened, would he have actually joined this story the way he did? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And truthfully, he's probably, I can't say he's my favorite character in the book, but I'd say he's top 3. He's one of the most interesting characters in this book, I think.
Yeah, he is my favorite character in the book. I think sometimes we have the capacity to bring in very vanilla characters, or with that sort of maddening quality of keeping everything in. So it's refreshing when you have a character that literally just sort of tells it like it is, even if it's all BS. You know what I mean?
Yes, and also he is a BA with his combat skills as well. So
he's not weak. He's not weak at all, despite the fact that he tends to use his tongue more than his fist, so to speak. So anyway, we get through a little bit with Sinjir, and then we introduce Timon Wexley, who is Nora's son. R.I.P. to Timon.
Yeah, I wonder if how he's related to Snap. It's interesting.
He is Snap. But in all seriousness, though, if you get through these books, you will understand why we like Snap Wexley so much and why it was such of a travesty to just kill him off in The Rise of Skywalker.
I can already tell from just going through 1.5 because I'm already into the second book why.
Yeah.
It makes me even more angry now thinking about it, but I wish I would have read these books before Resistance Reborn.
I was about to say that was the first time you had even heard of him, right? Was Resistance Reborn.
Yeah.
Yep.
But more for Nora's sake, because there was actually a couple of cliffhangers chapters in the first Aftermath book where you're pretty confident that she sacrifices herself, and it's kind of annoying to know that she doesn't, obviously. So
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Nora and Snap are very interesting characters. They're probably some of the best characters that have come out of this generation. So
yeah, very cool characters. So let's see here, Timon. We kind of realize that he's not really above board at all times. He is running a junk shop, but he's also running some other more illicit things under the junk shop.
Treasure shop.
Yeah, and he is. He's kind of made an enemy of Surat Nuat. I don't remember what his
Surat Nuat.
Yeah, there you go. Who's a gangster on Akiva. So he's kind of made the wrong the wrong enemy, so to speak. And in this initial walk through with him, Surat does send 3 thugs to come and beat him up and get his stuff. And then we also see one of the more awesome characters, the old B-1 battle droid, Mr. Bones. Mr. Bones just kind of takes care of everybody.
Is it sad that Mr. Bones is also one of my top 3 characters?
No, not at all. I mean, he's really cool. He's wonky. He was programmed by Timon. There was some of the stuff in here. It's like, well, he used like ballerina routines and like all these random subroutines, and Bones is essentially insane.
Cool. Yeah, but it's also cool because they don't quite reference it, but they reference he also has some programming of some old Clone Wars general. So obviously he also has Grievous' programming, which is why he just can tear you apart essentially.
Well, I mean, there's a lot more to Mr. Bones, but kind of continuing on here, we do get the reunion between Nora and Timon here at that point in the shop. That kind of goes a little bit awry, but We also start to meet some of the Imperials that are meeting on this planet. Grand Moff Valko Pandian, General Jalia Shale, a slaver, Arson Crassus, and Yup Tishu, who is a cultist who we get much later.
The former advisor to the Emperor.
Mm-hmm. Who's also kind of insane.
Yeah.
And then we also get Ray Sloan here as well. So Admiral Ray Sloan. And the idea at this point is the Imperials, the remnant of the Imperial, whatever, because they're also discombobulated at this point. They're trying to get together, trying to figure out what's next. Pandion is obviously pretty up there. Shale, if I remember correctly, Shale was like a master strategist or something like that.
Yeah, she was a general at one point, and she's probably the sharpest mind in the Empire.
Yeah. Crassus is just sort of money. He's basically
he's a banker.
Money. And then Yup, we all know about Yup. Yup, there it is. So, and again, we're going through this in sort of the order it's happening. So there's, jumping back around and so forth. But then we kind of get back to Nora and Temmin. Nora sedates him because she's just trying to get her son off the planet. And then guess what happens? We get a flashback to the two brothers.
Yes.
This
that
is how the
makes
book
total
is.
sense.
Yep.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we don't really know how long ago this section was.
True.
We don't really know anything about it at all. So.
Yep, no doubt. But anyway, back on Akiva. Meanwhile, then we meet our next main character here, Jaz Imari, who is basically going after Arson Crassus. She's a bounty hunter, and she's also very, very cool. I don't know what your opinion is, but she's also like a really awesome character.
She is, and she has a very interesting personality as well. There are other characters in the Star Wars universe I would compare her to, but I'm kind of drawing a blank on who they are now. But she's definitely a character type that we've seen before, but very well done.
Mm-hmm.
Cool personality. There's some funny moments with her and Sinjir later on. Obviously, they have quite a decent relationship compared to the rest of the crew down the lines. So,
well, I mean, we'll just talk about it now. The whole thing is that Sinjir actually saw Jaz Amari. I don't know why I'm saying Jaz Amari on Endor. So later on,
she actually was contracted to kill Leia at the time.
Yeah. Well, later on, he kind of takes that recognition and sort of attempts to help her when she's captured. Kind of a strange turn, but he does it for his reasons. And, again, that's a little bit later down the line. But anyway, she is sort of, Jaz is attempting kind of to just do her bounty hunter thing. Again, also as a Zabrak, by the way, just so we realize that. And
so, essentially just a nice sister. Even Sinjir makes a comment, hard to tell the difference between the two species.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's see here. The kind of also ingrained in this, Sinjir does attempt to talk Sarat, because we also have this whole thing with Sarat here, basically, and Sinjir trying to talk him out of, taking Jaz as a prisoner, and he takes them both.
Yeah.
How'd you like their like swinging cages of doom type of thing?
It was so cheesy and so awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when she gets out of her cage first, is just kind of hanging upside down, interacting with him, kind of pointing out how useless he is to her at the time.
Right. But again, I mean, I think with Jazz, even though she has a tough exterior, we find throughout this book and in the subsequent books that she cares much more, but she's not necessarily as guarded on that. And we're not necessarily going to go through that in this book. We'll go through that in subsequent books as we learn more about everybody's backstory. But she does wind up having a soft spot for this quote crew. Let's see here. We also get a little bit more with Akbar, Admiral Akbar, who's I thought this was kind of
his U.S. with his humidifier tank.
Mm-hmm. Well, I thought it was kind of interesting. He's practicing his skills, and he's like interrupted by like an ensign, and he's kind of doing this "I'm too old for this stuff" type of routine.
Johnson.
Yeah. But again, I mean, this is the point where, the Admiral, it's like, well, Captain Antilles is no longer responding to comms, had no check-in. So what are we going to do? So he sends out some searches. But I got to say, he's like super timid in the beginning parts of this book. It's all like, it's a trap. It's like constantly on his mind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But at the same time, it is very good to get a book that actually showcases how integral he really is, intelligent he is, and how competent of a person he is. Because I think he's just a over-memed character at this point. No one takes him seriously. But he is actually one of the coolest characters of the rebellion.
Yep.
And actually, I would take him over Mon Mothma personally
I think a lot of people would.
To lead the people. So...
No doubt. So then we kind of get back with Timon and Nora. Timon wakes up. He's all mad at his mom. Kind of gets away, sort of deal. So she's got to go back out and get him. Little Timon doing his Timon stuff, having little temper tantrums because he is young at this point. We also get a little bit more into the inner workings of what we have left of the Imperial, fleet here. Pandion is again, like we said before, is a big personality in the room. But Sloane has a super Star Destroyer somewhere. So that's kind of the root of her power. And we sort of get this whole dichotomy of, she's an admiral, but she's kind of like the most unassuming person to ever become an admiral. It's like there's got to be something more behind her. How did she reach this point type of deal? And I do think that a lot of them were kind of looking to Pandion to make the decision. But again, when you're talking about someone who is an admiral legitimately and has a super Star Destroyer, that does kind of weigh things for you a little bit. You know what I mean?
Because essentially that's the most powerful ship they have at this point. Obviously, they don't have much to work with anymore. So the Vigilance and what's the other ship she controls, the Ravager, are pretty much the best bets for the Empire at this point. Exactly.
But anyway, she has no interest in bringing out her in quotations fleet. And actually, they kind of wind up clearing the space of Imperial ships for a while they are meeting, because it's awful conspicuous, isn't it? Mm-hmm. But, she also has Wedge as well. Yeah. So it's kind of like, I'm not quite sure about what's going on with this dude, but it could be bad for us, so we've got to tread lightly type of deal. We meet Nora's sister. What was her name? Esmiel, I believe, something like that. They're at odds. They're definitely at odds as sisters. Esmiel is very content with just being on Akiva, where Nora definitely has a little bit more wanderlust about her.
Yeah. And they certainly aren't very good at communicating anything to each other. There's just too much of a grudge that you don't really...
Yeah.
I mean, you don't see it, but there's something there.
Well,
really we get... Go ahead.
I was just going to say, let's be frank about one thing. Everybody kind of resents Nora because she left to fight for a cause. And this is another pretty common thread that you see especially in like small town USA, where why are you going off to fight somebody else's war? Why are you going off to the big city? Why can't you just stay here? And like, I know I was kind of pseudo Southern accent there, so I do apologize. Well, not really, but why are you abandoning us?
Yeah.
And there's more to Nora joining than just wanting to do the right thing by the galaxy, obviously, but there's a lot of resent from her sister, from her son, and
Yes.
It's kind of tough, but we do catch back up with Temmin at his shop. More thugs. Nora shoots them. Lots of fun thug killing time, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. By the way, how did you like the thugs, the initial thugs sent to Temmin's shop? The accents and everything, especially in the audiobook, is just kind of funny. What species was she? I can't think of it now.
I don't remember.
But gotcha.
Yeah, I don't really remember that much. I didn't reread the book. I'm just going off.
Okay.
I'm just going off of memory on a lot of stuff. I mean, I've read these a couple times, so I have a reasonably good memory of most major events, but I don't remember everything about it. So anyway, we get Sinjir and Jazz's escape. Temmin's kind of capture as well, and his potential torture because Zerat doesn't like him at all. Let's see here. And then, Nora kind of pulling them all out of the fire as they're escaping as well. So, that's all sort of there. Let's see here. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit in my little synopsis, but we're kind of getting the sort of beginnings of what winds up being this team, where they want to disrupt what's going on here. You know what I mean? It's not just about like getting Timon out nor leaving. They know that there's an Imperial presence. We know that there's a bad element here. And it seems like everybody kind of jumps on board with each other, right? To sort of do the right thing. So Timon kind of talks a little bit about the caves and network of caves under the city. And, he's got this, like an entrance under his shop as well. We learn a little bit more. Actually, I don't remember if it was this book that we learn about his father. It was this book, right?
We do not really
It wasn't
learn a
in
whole
this
lot
book?
about him.
Okay.
There is a flashback to him being taken away.
Yeah, that's all I was talking about.
Okay.
Essentially, the reason why Nora winds up going to fight for the New Republic is the fact that her husband was basically taken away. Yeah, she was cold cocked and everything, and we kind of get the whole deal that he was sort of resistance, kind of sort of a rebel himself, maybe sending some transmissions,
running messages essentially.
Yeah, but he was taken away, and that's sort of why Nora went. And again, just nobody really understands that.
Yeah.
So yeah, is what it is. Akbar, after sending out a probe, he decides to send a couple of people, strike force down there, where we get our next character, John Burrell. Not a great idea,
Yes,
honestly.
John Burrell.
This was not a great idea. Like, they send 4 or 5 commandos, jump commandos, and they just jump in atmosphere, and they're all killed except John.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
which is literally the most stereotypical character that you could possibly come up with in this book. He is a BA in this book, though. I will give you that.
Yeah, I just want him to
character.
to sort of be like playing some metal when he's jumping down, or just some heavy song as he's jumping down, and all you hear is da 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 da, like him just making noise, da 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 da, da, and he's just falling down or something like that. Goodness. Well, anyway, after the commandos come, the Imperials are they're basically like in chaos at this point. Pandion's talking about the New Republic. They're here. Shale is kind of, I think she was one of the ones who was sort of calling for the fleet to come back again. Sloane's she's basically just trying to be like, there's nothing going on here. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
There's nothing. There's nothing going on. These are not.
Listen, we're not here to talk about Listen, we're not here to talk about my fleet. We're just trying to figure out a council and just get things going. Just don't talk about it.
Yep.
I'm not bringing my fleet.
Yeah. And I got to tell you, this is now the third time we're talking about this, but how many thugs do we get to clear out of Timon's shop?
At least about 10.
Because then Jazz gets to do it too. She gets to take out some thugs in Timon's shop. It's like, my goodness, man. How many thugs do you have to lose?
Completely destroyed at this point.
It's ridiculous. So we also have kind of the first of Nora's like savior complex moves where she does steal a tie. And let's see here.
Doesn't have ejector seats, by the way.
Well, or
something she notices early on.
Yeah, sure. Sort of. Let's see here. I guess there was a little bit of this plan here where Sinjir is going to assume his previous identity as loyalty officer, even though he was reported as KIA. But he is going to the communication station. They actually do. He does get in, but kind of winds up going a little sideways. Sort of shoots their way out, type of deal. Mr. Bones comes in, starts doing Bones things. And basically, the bigger part of the plan here is to continue dissension. Even as they're going about this mission, they see people, throwing rotten fruit at like stormtroopers, but they have this holovid showing a stormtrooper like shooting an innocent kid and like laughing about it. It's not real, but that's what they make. And then they just broadcast it across the city. And this kind of leads to an uprising, right? Oh, hey, now I finally found the name. The Acolytes of the Beyond. That's who it was that were getting the lightsaber. Yeah. They're not really worth mentioning. Honestly, they're fine. We'll mention them more in the next book. Promise. Let's see here. Now, trying to escape from the communications tower. They do the classic like horror movie move where you go to the roof.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Great way to escape.
Well, even if like, sort of the thought of like Nora stealing this tie and them getting away on a tie. It's like, how many people can fit in a tie?
Yeah. We've seen like 2 people in a tie before, I think. At one point, they were smaller species, so this isn't happening.
Yeah. Well, Nora does provide some cover fire. She's taken out ties, but old Admiral Sloane here, who's not to be outdone, winds up clipping one of Nora's tie's wings. Kind of shooting her down, going into a death spiral. I'm just reading what it says here, death spiral. But Nora, she kind of aims it for maximum impact type of deal. And no ejector seats, right?
Yeah, yep. I love you, Timon. I love you. Husband whose name I'm, drawing a blank on. Yeah. Brenton. Yeah. Sorry, Brenton. Oh, look at ejector sheet. It was bad.
Well,
probably
anyway,
more entertaining the first time when you don't know that she survives, I would say.
Well, I mean, the first read, it's like, oh man, we just lost her like so soon. Because it was very like, oh dang, we lost her.
It was well done too. It really was.
Yeah, honestly. No doubt. We do have, then Sloane, she's trying to get away on Krasus's yacht. Not a shuttle, but the yacht.
They love using yachts ever since Solo, don't they?
I just think of that Solo yacht. That's all I think of when I read this now. And then we switch perspectives again to Han Solo and Chewbacca.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this will become more of a thing as we go along. I will go ahead and say that, but essentially, we're now looking at Kashyyyk. Kashyyyk is an Imperial stronghold. Han, does promise Chewie that he'd help. So this is sort of the seeds of this. An old friend named Amara has a job on Kashyyyk, so that's it's very short. It's short, but we get this whole thing where it's like, yeah, Chewie, we'll go free your Wookiee buddies. It's fine. So Wedge, we do get a little bit more with Wedge here. He is able to, try and escape. Oh, and then Sloane's personal assistant.
Yes.
Goodness.
Yes, the golden child.
Well, he ambushes her, wounding her and stealing her holo screen, allowing him to send a message to the New Republic. Yeah. That's poor assistant, man.
Yeah.
We'll hear
What's
more.
her name again?
Adia Wright.
Yeah. The daughter she never had.
We'll talk about her later.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Well, we kind of have a little reunition of our reunition. We have the team reuniting of Joss, Temmin, and Sinjir.
With action.
Yeah. And Mr. Bones, and they're all crying about Nora, but then she's back. She's alive, and ties do have ejector seats. And then they all hug, and the book ends. Just kidding. On Coruscant, no, I'm not going to talk about Jack and the Ankle Biter Brigade. They're a thing. Kid Resistance cell on Coruscant. Cute. They do their thing. It's kind of cool, I guess. And then they attempt to adopt him, and he's like, no, I'm going to go back and be an ankle biter. And he does. Yeah. Good for him. Kind of chaos here on Akiva.
Yeah.
Fighting in the streets. Jaws is... I keep saying her name like Joss Stone is what I keep thinking the singer. It's Jazz. Jazz, please. I mean, it's Jas is how they spell it. I would pronounce that as Jaws instead of Jazz. Yeah. I mean, Jazz would have a Z, right?
Right.
Whatever. She's pretty happy about all this. It's her personality's funny. She's kind of like happy with chaos in a way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She takes a sick delight in it. So then we kind of get this whole plan about traveling underground to a droid factory, because there was a droid factory on here, which is where Timon kind of got some of the stuff for Bones. Mm-hmm. But apparently it's haunted, and nobody has returned alive.
Doesn't Mr. Bones have a astromech droid leg as an arm at this point in the book?
I don't remember if it was this point or not. I know he does at some point.
He gets it in this book. I just can't remember if he's gotten it yet.
Yeah, I don't remember. So they do go through the catacombs. I'm kind of going to speed through some of this, but they do go through the catacombs. Catacombs, my goodness.
Yes.
It's not even that late. And they do realize that there are some nutty droids down here. It's not necessarily haunted, so to speak, not ghosts, but bad droids.
It's the Uteen.
Yeah. The Uteen. God.
The Uteen.
Yeah.
The Uteen.
Yep. Well, let me just put this all just sort of past this here a little bit. Timon has made a deal. Okay? He's made a deal to get him, his mother, and Mr. Bones out of here, basically betraying Sinjir and Jazz. It goes awry because Sloane doesn't care. She doesn't care at all. She's like, well, you can come, and that's it. He actually is pushed off of a building.
Yeah.
Because, this again, ruthlessness. Sloane does have the capacity to be very ruthless, but the deal goes awry. She's not really interested in making a deal with like some little kid. She does attempt to kill him. He is saved by the crowd below. So he does survive. He's very regretful of the whole thing, but he did basically betray every single one of them because she's not going to help anybody. Sloane's not going to help anybody. Well, there was a motorcycle went by the window. I don't know if that picked up. I always kind of wonder.
It did.
Well, I wonder if it picked up in the mic because that's a different sound. Anyway, listeners don't need to know about that. Let's see here. Yes, the Oog Teen. Very, very fun people here. I know Bones kind of gets injured at some point. Lots of explosions, battling the Oog Teen. Blah, 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 blah. They're able to get away. Yeah, they're able to get away. It is what it is. We do get our little tiny part of Vanth Cobb, who, again, we'll probably talk a little bit more about once we get towards Mandalorian, because it does look like he will indeed be in the Mandalorian. But the Jawas have a set of Mandalorian armor. We won't say what it is, but there was only one thing of Mandalorian armor conceivably that was on there, so we assume it's
Boba give us the damn color. Kidding me?
Yeah, it is what it is. So again, speeding through. John Burrell's doing his commando thing, trying to screw things up as best as he can. He's got a turbo
broken
laser.
arm, still just slugging away.
Yeah, killing stormtroopers, trying to get bigger guns. It's good stuff. Jazz, Temmin, and Nora, Mr. Bones do get reunited, and they're basically full bore ambushing troopers outside the palace so they can, sneak in. And I kind of did get ahead of myself. It wasn't in the caves where we find out that Temmin. Should have reread, shouldn't I? Memory's not so good. It isn't in the caves where we find Temmin sort of did this whole double cross. It's actually once they get out of the caves and into the palace. They do feel that it was Sinjir who betrayed them. But of course it was Temmin, pushed off the edge, blah, blah, blah. Sloane does attempt to get into the yacht. It's pelted by rocks. That's going to help.
Poor Sat Rap.
Yeah. Let's see here. They do bring down the yacht. Jom is able to bring down the yacht once he gets the turbo laser to activate. And then we get the arrival of the Rebel fleet. Okay. So then we go to Cloud City.
Yes.
Whatever. Cloud City sacked by the rebels, blah, blah, blah. Going back towards the end of our book here, we have Commander Agate back in the story. They're doing battle with the Imperial Remnant here. Let's see here. Our friends are able to take Pandion, and I also believe Shale and Yup Tashu captive.
Which they are at one point believed to be dead due to an explosion, but later on they find out they were just unconscious, and they're, I believe, Julia Shale does die, I believe. I know Tashu becomes a prisoner, but I might be wrong there.
It says
they're
capture.
A little unclear.
So in here, I'm just going back over synopsis. They take Pandion hostage. Yacht crash lands on the Vigilance, killing Crassus, but allowing Jaws to capture Tashu and Shale. And then Sloane does get away on one of her shuttles. Nora takes a tie to follow her. Oh, okay. Yeah, this is right. So Pandion is actually with Sloane, kind of attempts to take control of the shuttle, and she blows up the shuttle.
Yeah, essentially giving Pandion to the rebels.
Now, I think Pandion dies. Because, so Sloane...
Oh, yeah, she shoots him. That's right. She does shoot him in the gut.
That's what I was thinking. I was pretty sure that Pandion didn't
So I had
survive.
I had him and Julius
up.
Shale.
That's understandable. Yes. We're professionals. Don't worry about it.
We are.
But escapes in a pod and is picked up by one of the Star Destroyers. The Vanquish, which takes off in hyperspace, rest of the fleet being essentially dissected by the New Republic. Nora was injured, but she's able to make full recovery along with Wedge. And essentially the setup for our following books is that we have a new team here. So Nora, Jazz, Temmin, Sinjir, and Jom and Mr. Bones are effectively now like a New Republic bounty hunting team. Essentially, they are tasked with tracking down Imperials and bringing them in to justice. However, here in the very end of our book, we do get a glimpse at Fleet Admiral Gallius Rex, who is Sloane's superior, who tells her that the summit on Akiva was a test for her, which she passed, and that it helped weed out those in Imperial service who were weak.
Yeah, this guy's essentially pulling all the strings at this point. Certainly not all that concerned with Ray Sloane's life. Could have easily gotten her killed in the process. Essentially just trying to weed out everybody who would be a threat for him.
Yep. So that's kind of our book here. Actually got pretty dismal reviews in its interim after being released. So I think people have kind of grown on it or grown to like it a little bit more. I definitely think they're important, but I know that there was a lot of negative response. I thought it was.
I don't know how I would have felt about it having read it as soon as it released, but now with all the other lore we have that ties into it, I enjoyed this book quite a bit. It was fun to get more of a backstory into Temmin and Nora, see how Nora and Wedge met and all that good stuff. Again, they're really the focal point of this series to me, and obviously some of the most interesting characters in it. But we get a lot of good characters out of this. Sinjir is one of the best written characters I think I've seen in a long time with Star Wars. Jazz is very interesting. Not as big of a fan of John, but I guess in the next book he makes more sense than this one, truthfully.
Yeah, Jom's just sort of stereotypical commando. We've said that,
and we do get a lot of cool setups for storytelling, which that's kind of what Star Wars is about in my mind. All the little backstories and how they tie into each other. So
no doubt.
I don't know how I would have felt about it day one, but I appreciated this book. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I'll probably read it again.
Yeah. I think it does have a lot of rereadability to it.
Yeah, it does. Especially once you get through the entire trilogy, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that was Aftermath. Sorry, I was so mixed up on some of that.
You're fine.
We'll be more. While.
I'm sure we'll be more prepared for the next one. So what would you rate this? Yeah, probably not. What would you rate this book out of 10?
I mean, I'd probably be at like a solid 7.
Okay. I think I'd give it a... Go ahead.
It's a good book. I don't know that like some of the random stories were necessarily as well tied in to the whole as they could have been. You know, all your little extra stuff could have been handled a little bit better, in my opinion. But I like the characters. I think the development was fine. And I think you set up really well for what becomes a trilogy.
Yeah. Yeah, so I would probably give it I guess I would do two different scores on this. I would give it a 7 as well in its current state if I could somehow just dissect all of the little side stories out. Not saying that they're all garbage and they're terrible, and I'm sure that they do set up very well in the coming books, but if I could read the main story separate from all of those little side stories, I'd probably give it an 8.
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of makes the book a little disjointed, like you said. No,
Sure.
Not hard to follow, but it takes away too much from the moment, I guess. So yeah, I'd give it about a 7 as well.
Cool. Very cool. Well, folks, hopefully you enjoyed fumbling through Aftermath with us here. I'll probably drink a coffee the next time we do this so that I can be more awake, I guess. But honestly, it is a really good series. I'm looking forward to talking more about the series as we go along. But I think that it's a good installment for Star Wars, and yeah, just looking forward to doing some more. So I think that's about it. I don't think we have much more to talk about today. Thankfully, God, I'm so glad those guys are shutting up. But anyway, folks, hopefully you guys had a good time with us. Make sure to check out all the social media, all that good stuff. Rate us, 10 stars wherever you find ratings, even though there's not such a thing. What you got to do is you got to rate 5 stars and then write in the comment, I would rate this 10 stars.
Yeah.
God, this guy's
Give
full
us
of
about
himself.
Yeah, and if it's a percentage base, just do about 99. And then, just go ahead and comment plus 16. Because I think we're worth a 115% rating.
Oh, my God.
By far.
Okay. Well, anyway, folks, definitely thank you for listening. We really do appreciate it. But that's it for us for now. You guys have a great rest of your week.
As always, may the Force be with you.